At the start of the 1960s, as Cold War tensions began to escalate across the globe, the United States made a revolutionary foreign policy decision that would permanently change how the country used its influence to sway the global political climate. To adapt to the changing world, the United States chose to invest in foreign aid as a means of promoting American ideals abroad, launching the United States Agency for International Development, or USAID. This monumental foreign aid reform revolutionized the ways in which the United States used its power abroad, using its influence through aid to promote American values. While USAID has been incredibly influential in advancing foreign policy goals, it has faced scrutiny throughout its history due to mixed results and high operation costs. Despite the agency having both successes and failures throughout its existence, USAID has revolutionized the way in which aid is used to push American ideals, with the agency reforming foreign aid into a tool of diplomacy as a means of strengthening national security, permanently redefining how the U.S. exerted its influence abroad. Following the end of World War II, the United States gave over $13.3 billion in assistance to Western Europe under the Marshall Plan as a way to ward off the growing threat of communism. With the Marshall Plan having such strong support, President Harry Truman would continue to engage and expand overall foreign assistance under his Point 4 program and the Truman Doctrine. As countries across Africa and Asia began to gain independence as well, the United States found itself more involved abroad to further contain the spread of communism. As the scale of foreign aid expanded, few changes were made to the ways in which they were being administered. Programs were often managed across different agencies, leading to many bureaucratic delays and poor management. In a special message to Congress on foreign aid, President John F. Kennedy said, "The program is based on a series of legislative measures and administrative procedures conceived at different times and for different purposes. Its weaknesses have begun to undermine confidence in our effort both here and abroad." Kennedy hoped to lead a decade of development by creating a stronger, more efficient foreign aid program. Kennedy proposed the creation of the United States Agency of International Development, a comprehensive agency that would administer all foreign aid and reduce bureaucratic delays. While it initially faced significant pushback from Congress, Cold War events like the Bay of Pigs would eventually lead to it getting approved with bipartisan support. On September 4, 1961, President John F. Kennedy signed the Foreign Assistance Act into law, giving him the authority to establish USAID. Under Kennedy's guidance, USAID provided mostly developmental assistance, marking a permanent shift in using foreign aid to advance American ideals abroad. One of the most successful instances of developmental aid was in South Korea. Devastated by the Korean War, South Korea was one of the poorest countries on Earth in the 1950s, with South Korea being strategically significant in the Cold War due to its location in history. USAID prioritized heavy investment in the region, spending $2.5 billion from 1961 to 1975. South Korea's government actively sought to grow its economy through the idea of self-help and worked closely with the US to achieve this goal. The results of this aid were astounding. In what was deemed a South Korean miracle, their economy grew rapidly by becoming primarily export-based, allowing South Korea to become self-sufficient. South Korea demonstrated the maximum potential of developmental assistance when self-help was applied, showing the strategic value of foreign aid. The United States would see mixed results throughout the 1960s with similar aid programs, but continued to invest in them as they tried to secure allies during the Cold War. Much of the controversy from this era came from aid spending. Throughout the 1960s, members of Congress and the American public grew concerned that developmental aid was having little impact on the countries receiving it, as developmental aid often took longer to have an effective impact and was in some cases going to corrupt leaders. Representative Otto Passman, an ardent opponent of foreign aid, said he hoped to cut $2.4 billion in aid to, quote, "show the world that we are no longer going to be suckers." These concerns had some merit, as programs in Africa and Latin America were often unsuccessful because countries were unwilling to engage in aid efforts, or USAID staff were unequipped with the local knowledge of the region. When Richard Nixon took office, he aimed to engage in major aid reforms. These reforms included focusing on multilateral aid, reducing US dominance in foreign assistance, and folding USAID into the State Department. The idea of humanitarian assistance over developmental aid was promoted due to its immediate nature under the 1970s New Directions legislation. This major reform gave USAID the political backing it needed to continue operating, garnering more support from both Congress and the American public. The legislation marked a major shift in how the U.S. began to prioritize immediate impact by stabilizing situations as a way of strengthening national security. One of the most prominent examples of this humanitarian aid came during the Ethiopian famine of 1985. As reports came out of Ethiopia showing the full extent of the famine, the American public began to pressure Ronald Reagan to provide aid to the country. In a stark shift from previous USAID policy, the Reagan administration would provide humanitarian aid to Ethiopia's Marxist-Leninist government, despite precedent indicating that governments which actively opposed the US should not receive any aid. USAID, once a tool used to sway countries into becoming allies at the height of the Cold War, was now supplying aid to a communist country. Ethiopia set a new precedent for providing aid in prioritizing need over politics, with Ronald Reagan saying of the famine, "A hungry child knows no politics." Following 9/11, USAID began to serve a vital role in the conflicts between Iraq and Afghanistan. Much of the assistance provided was intended to stabilize the societies in these countries by creating new infrastructure, but there was often little thought going into what was actually needed and what resources were available to operate these projects. As a result, USAID had spent $22 billion across both countries with little results, highly exceeding the $1.7 billion amount projected for Iraq significantly. USAID would ultimately play a key role in the war by funding the reconstruction of these societies, advancing U.S. foreign policy interests, but suffering because of unwillingness to cooperate between the countries and poor management of the programs. USAID has completed thousands of projects with mixed success. However, it's had a profound impact on various countries globally, such as helping develop the economy of many states, and has mitigated the effects of great disasters such as famine. Having operated for over 6 decades, USAID has engaged in various efforts across the globe which have ultimately improved the quality of life for millions. The agency has engaged in thousands of projects throughout its history, permanently altering the way of life in countless communities. USAID has helped reduce birth rates through family planning, expanded access to education in third world countries, specifically to women, and played a key role in eradicating smallpox in the 1970s. It also played a key role in preventing famine in India by distributing modified seeds during the Green Revolution, overall decreasing long-term reliance on food aid and saving millions of lives. USAID has also had a profound role in improving global health and well-being. A study conducted by The Lancet estimates that since 2000, USAID-funded programs have saved an estimated 91 million lives. The same study also found that highly funded USAID programs led to a 15% reduction in all-age and all-cause mortality. According to the Pew Research Center, foreign aid spending only took up 1.17% of the federal budget in 2023, a number that is remarkably low for the enormous impact USAID has had. USAID has been a revolutionary foreign policy tool for the United States, shifting its role on the global stage. Foreign aid has become a vital part of U.S. diplomatic strategy, with it often being used to advance goals in key countries such as Afghanistan and Iraq in the 2000s. By investing in stronger democratic governments that have free markets, the United States has also been able to benefit its own economy and national security. This additional stability has not only prevented conflicts, but has also gained the U.S. major allies in trade, with countries that have received heavy USAID assistance, such as Taiwan and South Korea, ranking within the top 10 U.S. trading partners. Ultimately, USAID's impact has been profound and clear in the United States, permanently reshaping foreign and diplomatic strategies. Despite USAID having a long-standing role in U.S. foreign policy, the agency was effectively merged with the State Department on July 1st of 2025, closing down many major programs. In a major foreign policy shift, President Trump's administration cited that foreign aid served to, quote, destabilize world peace by promoting ideas in foreign countries that are directly inverse to harmonious and stable relations internal to and among countries. Many critics of foreign aid have argued that the U.S. is too involved abroad, saying that the money would be better spent at home where American taxpayers will directly benefit from increased domestic spending. The shutdown of USAID has led to questions on how its absence will impact U.S. foreign policy. Senator Mitch McConnell has shared concerns regarding China filling the aid gap left by the U.S., potentially leading to the loss of both current and potential allies. The move has also drawn criticism from politicians such as former President Barack Obama, saying, "Gutting USAID is a travesty because it's some of the most important work happening anywhere in the world." The New Yorker also reported that as of November 5th, 2025, cuts to USAID have already led to over 600,000 deaths globally. The shutdown of USAID has further sparked the debate on how involved the U.S. should be abroad, with this move shifting America toward isolationism mechanism to prioritize domestic well-being. While USAID has had a long, complicated history with both successes and failures, it fundamentally reformed foreign policy, cementing the idea of aid being used as a tool to advance American ideals globally. The creation of this revolutionary agency reshaped communities across the globe, improving and saving lives through the usage of foreign aid.